to bring peace to the world, to do humanitarian work. The cowards and thugs who did this last night couldn't be a starker contrast.
You said they were small in number, but they seemed pretty well organised and, by all accounts, utterly ruthless.
Well, I think there's no question about their ruthlessness. The degree to which they're organised, I wouldn't quibble with the hugely dangerous position they actually pose. But I would say they are small in number. And last night they succeeded. But every day the Chief Constable and those officers of the PSNI stand out there to ensure that this small number of people don't succeed, and they've been extremely successful in recent months, both in disrupting and apprehending these dissidents who refuse to accept the changes. But last night, with huge regret, they did succeed. Our job now is to catch them and put them away and bring these people to justice.
Sinn Féin have issued a statement in the last half hour or so. I just want to pick up a couple of things from it and just get your reaction to that. He said, the statement said those responsible have no support, no strategy to achieve a united Ireland. Their intention is to bring British soldiers back onto the streets. Might they succeed in that?
Well, Operation Banner, which, as you know, was the military operation which for 38 years brought men and women to serve in Northern Ireland, that came to an end 18 months ago. That's not about to change. The Chief Constable this week indicated that he had raised the security threat level, so we enhanced security at bases, at police stations across Northern Ireland. Regrettably, last night it was clear that when this cowardly attack took place, no matter what measures we put in place, people who have a predisposition to plan mass murder of civilians and soldiers were able to do what they did. But we will, of course, today continue to review the security here in Northern Ireland. But no, you're not about to see soldiers back on the streets of Northern Ireland. It's a complete fiction, and the terrorists responsible for yesterday's criminal activity will not succeed in that.
And just something else that was said in the Sinn Féin statement, Gerry Adams' statement, was there are elements within unionism and within the British system who do not want the peace process to achieve its objectives. What do they mean by that, about British, elements within the British system who do not want this to succeed?
Well, I'm afraid you're going to have to ask Gerry Adams what he meant by that statement. What I can say is that I welcome the condemnation by Sinn Féin. Indeed, I welcome it by everybody, and I think one of the most important things to do here, John, is actually to focus on this as a crime. Last night, 2 men were murdered. There is another man extremely dangerously ill. 3 other people badly wounded. We've got to find the people who did this last night, and there's a real opportunity for the community in Northern Ireland here. There will be people who will know who did this. There will be people who know something about suspicious activity by people yesterday, the cars that might have been used last night. There's a real responsibility by people in the community to come forward. There will be people who are afraid of doing it. And what I can promise them is that the Chief Constable will do everything in his power to provide protection for those people. We need the public to come forward, we need witness statements, and we need to catch these criminals and catch them quickly.
Of course, but there will be political ramifications, there'll be economic ramifications from something like this. I think indeed the First Minister and Deputy were due to fly to the United States today to bang the drum for business in Northern Ireland ahead of St Patrick's Day. People wanting to invest at this critical time are going to think twice, aren't they?
Well, let's be clear about this. You do get problems that emerge in a process, as we've seen in Northern Ireland after the last 10 or 11 years. But the Northern Ireland of today is a radically different place from that of 10 or 11 years ago. Yes, last night poses a challenge. Yes, there will be people who will think twice. But then we have to redouble our efforts to convince people, as indeed is the case, that Northern Ireland today is a very different place, that the men and women who live here today want to succeed as any other part of the United Kingdom or Ireland. And it was, I think, markedly clear to me last night from the expressions of support I had from the Irish Republic, from the Taoiseach, from the Irish Foreign Minister, from the conversations we were having with America last night, that people are not going to allow this to stand in their way. We're going to make Northern Ireland succeed, and we will not let the criminals, the small number of criminals, succeed in any shape or form.
The Shadow Defence Secretary, Liam Fox, has said there should be a full review of security in Northern Ireland now. Will that happen?
Well, actually, there's a full review of security all of the time. One of my tasks here in Northern Ireland with the Chief Constable is to ensure that we actually carry out the security that's needed in Northern Ireland. And I think Liam, I understand why he said it, of course, but it's a reflection, I think, on the success of the Chief Constable, that we have driven this kind of criminal behaviour out of Northern Ireland. It's a reflection of the political leadership of the First and Deputy First Minister.
Yeah.
So this goes on all the time, John, and people shouldn't think that somehow it hasn't happened for the last few years. It does, it happens every day.
Yeah, that's precisely what my final question to you was going to be. You talked in recent days about the need to step up security. Downing Street mentioned it again this morning. Is there almost a sense in which you were anticipating this?
I'm afraid to say that we have been aware in the last few months of an increased level of ambition by the small number of criminals to commit some act of atrocity. As you know, last year they tried to murder several police officers and nearly succeeded when they put 5 bullets into the chest of one police officer when he dropped his child off at a school. Last night's pre-attempted mass murder attempt is despicable, but you know, it does stand in isolation. It's no less despicable for that. But let's keep a sense of proportion here, and let's everybody in Northern Ireland come back behind the peace process, back behind the political process, redouble our efforts, and ensure that peace and prosperity is what the future is in Northern Ireland.
Sean Woodward, I'm grateful to you. Thank you very much for joining us here on the Politics Show. Thank you.